Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's the Split Peak Soup Podcast. I'm your host, Neil Carney, and today I got a fine young man with me in my presence. It's a kid I've known since he was in diapers, and he goes by the name of John Mel. John, how are you?
I'm stoked, dude. Thanks for having me. This is rad.
Definitely, yeah. It's been a long time coming. You know, I have a little short list of people who have been wanting to get on the podcast, you know, since I started about a year ago, and you've been on that list, so I'm just psyched to get you in here, man. Just wanted to, check in. It's about the end of summertime, and just wanted to see how your summer's been and what have been the highlights so far.
Yeah, man, this has been probably the best summer that I've ever seen here in town. I mean, even my dad's been saying that. It's been so consistent, just nonstop. I mean, surfing Sewer Peak, we've been getting a bunch of sessions together and stuff. So, yeah, it's been mental, just surfing a ton. Sewer Peak up north, a couple waves up there that are sick. So, yeah, I've been having a good time.
Nice. And how about any trips? Have you gone anywhere this summer?
Not really. I've kind of been home a lot, which is nice. Yeah, it's been good. I've got a contest coming up at the end of this month. And that's kind of somewhat the start of my competing season for the year. There was one event back in April or something like that. And then they have a little bit of a weird gap. So you're kind of home for a little bit. And then after this, it'll kind of be a little more bang, bang, bang every month, kind of having an event and stuff. So yeah, just kind of getting froth for that for sure.
Cool. And in years past, you've kind of done like an Indo trip in the summer.
Yeah,
too.
I'm actually doing that again in September. I'm going on a boat trip, so that'll be sick.
Cool.
Fit that in between contests. It's always nice to kind of like, because when you get in that contest grind too, that you can kind of get so sucked into that you maybe kind of lose your feel of like what you really do surfing for, you know? So I really like getting in a little like just for fun surf trip where you're just with your buddies and trying to score waves and just doing it for why we do it, because we love it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of loving it, this summer, yeah, as you mentioned, it's just been like fucking gangbusters.
Nonstop.
All time, and, pretty much every day there for, a number of weeks. I'd see you out at Sewer Peak, and your dad was getting out there, like, quite often. And, I think I wanted just to, like, let you know that as a goofy footer, like, I just been blown away by your surfing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And it ticks all the boxes off for me without like brown nosing you too hard. Like, you're throwing like tons of spray, you're placing your turns in like the sickest spots, and you're getting a little bit progresso sometimes too in the end section, throwing like tail whips and airs and stuff like that. And one thing that I kind of noticed about you when we were surfing Sewer Peak that I observed was I think a lot of us too that surfed Sewer Peak like almost every other day or whatever for a certain amount of years, it's like by the time you get to a certain age, you're so like ready to be like in the bowl, like at the top of the bowl, that you're like kind of just like, I live and die by that hill, and in certain ways it's like it's bad because I get worked up because, there's all these people, this energy, and you're trying to like not get discouraged when one of the guys who's maybe like a rung above you comes out and paddles right around after catching a wave, or if somebody who like maybe doesn't deserve it in your mind starts to get into your business. But what I noticed from you was that you were sitting just a little bit off from the bowl, kind of on the shoulder a little bit, but still far out.
You're blowing out my secret right now.
I know.
No, it's all good.
But anyways, its backside is so tough on those steep angles, south swells like that, and it's like almost like this little lure that lures me out to the top of the peak, where it's like my pride, and then I like to get piped too, but it's like you're not getting piped on every wave out there, right? But what I noticed is you're sitting a little bit off to the side there, but you were catching the waves that really allowed you to like open up and do like a bunch of turns that wouldn't stretch out too much. And was that kind of like some kind of like, because your dad's like, he's a mad dog, right? Wants to be in the bowl.
He's taking everything right now, dude. He's at that point in his life where he's like, I'm taking it all, dude. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to surf at this level. He's like, I'm gone. And I back that. I think it's sick. Actually, when I'm out there with him, I'm like, it's kind of cringy, but I'm also like, if anyone's gonna do it, he can do it.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah, like you said, I mean, he's the old dog, the big dog on the small porch, and I mean, he's fully within his rights, to take, and he's not like certain people we know who are just like super.
We won't name names here.
Oh yeah, you say their name 3 times, they're like the boogeyman.
Pop out of nowhere.
Show up and come on the podcast with us. But he does it respectfully, and he does deserve it. It's like whatever. But yeah, tell me about your approach surfing out there, and why it is that you sit kind of a little off there.
Yeah, I just think that I can like find a little bit of space. I mean, it gets really dense out there in that little peak. I mean, there's that one little zone that everyone's kind of in, and when there's 10 of the boys out there, it takes a long time to get the rotation. And yeah, I just kind of find my little place on that wide bowl. And I do, like you said, I like those waves too, because they actually slow up a little bit. And I feel like they suit a goofy footer well, because you can get a little more squared up like into the lip. Whereas some of those deeper ones, they kind of they stretch out, which is fun. If you're regular, you can kind of get down the line a little bit. But yeah, I just feel like I can find like a little bit of solitude over there. And there's like sneaky waves that shift over there that are sick. So I was like, yeah, I like to try and stay off the pack. And then I also pick my moments though. I will go like, sometimes there'll be a 10 wave set or whatever, and then I'll skirk over and try and get a deep one or whatever. But I love Surf Peak, dude. It's like honestly one of the best waves you can have. Like you can get barreled, do big turns, like big wraps. It's a mental wave.
Yeah, and then you wait a few months, and then you start looking towards that left.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like little baby copes.
Yeah, fully. It's like a mini Mavs to me, actually.
I was gonna bring that up to you because the first time that I paddled out at Mavericks, like as I punched through like the first little kind of gnarly, I wouldn't call it a beach break, but the inside. And as I started like kind of like making my way out to the lineup, the little waves that were breaking on the inside, they were kind of like wedging up, and they were like little tiny like pangies, wedges. Totally. And then as I started getting out to the bowl, and this day was a pretty proper day, like there was just gnarly, big old cavern rights and lefts. And I was just like, dude, this is like you fucking did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and like exploded or like grew Sewer Peak, and isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's cool. I mean, that's like probably why I feel comfortable at Mavericks, is like being able to cut my teeth surfing Sewer Peak and figuring out the lines that you take there. And then it's basically, if you have the balls to go out there and send it, then it's exact same thing really. It's just a whole lot bigger of a version. So I think that's kind of probably it.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty trippy. And we'll get into Mavs a bunch more a little bit later, but I think, for myself, this, nonstop summer of waves has been kind of like managing energy. And, I can rarely surf 2 days in a row. I did it a couple of times during those swells just because it was like, I'm like, dude, how can I pass this up? But like the effect on my body is just so gnarly. And like, and then I would go for a session and like see you out there, and then I'd go and like, just check up on Surfline to see what was happening, and like 2 hours later you're back out there. What was the most time that you spent out in the water during one of those sessions, you think?
Long time. The first, I got this, I'm not wearing it right now, but I got one of those Whoop band things, and so it actually tracks my sessions, so it's kind of rad. I was wearing it through a lot of those swells, so I could see how long I was out there and like how much energy I'm burning and how many calories and stuff. But the first run of those big days, whatever the first one was, I don't even remember what it was now, but I surfed like a total of 9 hours throughout the day. I think I did a 4-hour session in the morning, and then got some lunch midday, and then went back out for another 5 hours. And that was just like, I was cooked for sure. But then it was just like another week after that of just nonstopness. But after that day, I kind of tamed it down a little bit. But yeah, I was just going for it as hard as I could, because I mean, we don't get that super often. So I was like, I just want to milk it as hard as I can, try and get it out as much as I can,
Yeah, definitely. And, I just curious, like, how does that affect your body? How old are you now?
26, yeah.
Yeah. And so like, you're not like quite a 16-year-old like gummy bear anymore that can just like fall down the flight of stairs and walk up and just brush it off.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
How's your body doing?
It feels good. Like, I get tired. Like, the most thing that I want is sleep. Like, I'm not like sore or anything really the next day, but I just like feel like I need a lot of sleep. That's pretty much it. Like, I don't get super blown out. Like, actually maybe my shoulders a little bit, a lot of paddling, but yeah, not terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Mm-hmm. And I know that your dad's pretty into yoga. Mm-hmm. Is that anything that you've ever kind of
Yeah, I go through phases. Right now I've been kind of off it a little bit. I've been doing more of these like hot Pilates kind of classes called Build and Burn class over at the athletic club over there. I've been doing those classes, and then they have a super nice like sauna and ice bath zone too. So that's something that I do. If I do have one of those big days, I'll try and get a sauna and ice bath in. That probably helps my recovery. Yeah, I've kind of been off the yoga, but I'll go through phases. Sometimes I'll be in there a lot and doing that kind of stuff, but yeah, I got to do it more, because I feel like that's when my body feels the best, is like if I can get on a streak for a couple weeks of like going to yoga a few times a week, like I feel good, because it feels like for a surfer, like I don't want to be huge or anything, but I want to feel like my joints are strong and everything's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like yoga kind of helps a lot with that.
For sure,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, that's kind of like the gnarly like gym influencer guy spot now. It's like they got like a selfie like
Yeah,
room with
yeah. I
mirrors
don't
and
even
stuff.
ever really go in the gym. I just like go into the classes and do those. But
How's the
yeah,
sauna and stuff there
it's
though? Is it
mental. It's like
pretty nice?
super nice. Yeah, and it's always pretty mellow. There's not really that many people in there, so I just like go in there and sit in the sauna for like 20 minutes, and then go do a 3-minute ice bath, and then go back in the sauna for another 20, and then just dip again in the ice bath before I leave for like 30 seconds. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a pretty good program. But yeah, I like it. Like most of the time I'm in there by myself. Like, and that's what's kind of hard about that the gym area there is it's always packed and there's all these big dudes and it's like pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
I used to go to InShape and I felt like the vibe was a little different there,
Right.
which I like because I can kind of find my space and like do my own thing, you know. So yeah, but that's why I like going to the classes. I just go and the people kind of bring you through it and it feels good after.
Yeah. And yeah, what's your, like I kind of got into weightlifting a few years ago, nothing like crazy, but for me, it was like, it felt good to move my body and you get some like crazy like endorphins when you do that. And, I've got a lot of time in my day and it helps me break up my day. And, I just feel like keeping moving is great. And, how concerned are you about like fitness outside of surfing at this point? Because you just mentioned a little bit, but like how high is that on your like
Not
priority?
super high. Like my most important thing is I want to surf a lot, like and just get better at surfing. And I feel like if you're surfing for hours and hours every day, you're gonna stay pretty fit. I do think it's a good thing to go into the gym and do extra things like that for sure. I should probably be better at it, but it's not at the top of my list. But yeah, I've gone through phases too. Like I said, like I'm not good at like being super strict about everything for a long time. Like I feel like I go through phases like, oh, I'm on a lifting thing right now, or right now I'm on these hot classes, or I'm on a yoga one. I've always throughout my career like done something, but nothing like super specific. But yeah, I think doing leg stuff's probably good. Things like that keep your legs strong. But yeah, other than that,
Yeah, you can get like probably a little overloaded if you go too much like
I
arms,
definitely
get
think
top
so.
heavy,
Yeah, for sure.
like yeah, just getting those tree trunk legs going if you can.
Yeah.
And that's smart.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, let's just kind of like rewind here a little bit. I want to kind of go back to, obviously you don't remember it, but when you were living over there by 26th Avenue, I mean, and
I remember it though. I do.
yeah,
Yeah, but I was not the start of it, but I remember the end of it for sure.
yeah, you're just a little guy there, kind of like, and you're probably just started to learning to surf, there. How old were you when you first started to surf?
Um, my first session, I think I was like 2 years old. So I'll tell you the story. So we were at Turtle Bay. My grandpa used to have a little condo over there, and if you're on the right side of the resort there's that like kind of cool snorkeling area where everyone goes, and like waves kind of break up and over this little rock shelf basically, and somehow this little sandbar had kind of built up in there, and so it'd come over this little rock shelf, and then there'd be this perfect little 6-inch wave, and my dad was standing me up and on his board and like pushing me into waves. And the funny thing is he was standing me up as a regular footer. He's like, I want this kid to be a regular. And then whatever, fast forward years, whatever, maybe I had a couple of random little surfs in there somewhere between, but we used to go down to Puerto Escondido every year with Boothman and Nat Young, and I think this time like Tonino Benson was down there, my brother, my dad, my mom, everyone. And we used to stay right there at Playa Zicatela. And yeah, I had this year where I was just frothing on surfing super hard. And my dad would take me out on his like 7.6 Porto gun. And I remember like, I don't know how actually big it was, but it felt like there was like probably 15-foot closeouts like out the back. And then my dad would have me on the little like right before the sand. He would like just hold on to the back, and I'd be riding these whitewashes. And I just remember I was like every day I was like, Dad, take me out, take me out. But it's funny because I feel like people are probably tripping. Like, what is this guy doing? Bring this guy out here right now. But yeah, that's where I like got the froth, and I was like, I want to do this every day. And then since then, it's just been my life.
Yeah, and what a life too, man. You started out competing on the amateur circuit, and at what point? How old were you when you guys moved to Southern California?
I want to say I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. Yeah, so we were at that East Cliff house, and then my dad got a job down at the Quicksilver headquarters down there. It's kind of opportunity you couldn't give up, and I feel like that was actually super good for my career because there's a lot more of the industry down there and a lot of really good surfers. And yeah, now a lot of my best surf friends, they're all from down there, like Nolan Raposa, Tyler Gunter, all those guys. Yeah, I moved down there, and then I was there until 15 or 16, and then But like I was saying, why it was good for my career is because I was also competing with all these guys down there, like Jake Marshall, Griffin Colapinto, all those guys. So that's where I was able to like kind of cut my teeth with like learning the competition side, and that probably pushed me a lot.
Yeah, I'd imagine. So yeah, like, you know, as far as lifestyle goes, for if you that's like a factory for
Oh yeah,
professional
absolutely.
surfers.
Yeah, it's crazy down there. There's so many kids. It's just like they're pumping
Yeah.
them out nonstop.
And it's all kind of there. All the contests are within, you know, whatever, like 75-mile
Yeah,
radius if
all the
you want.
sponsors.
All the sponsors, the industry, the big time coaches and stuff like that. And how many national titles did you win?
I won a mini Grom one, which is like 10 and under. I think I still lived in Santa Cruz maybe when I got that one. It was right in that time. I won a Explorer Minahuni one, which I think is maybe 12 and under. Those are my two NSSA ones, and then I won under 12s for U.S. champs, under 16s for U.S. champs, and under 18s for U.S. champs. So I guess that's five total for like a national title. But yeah, different organizations, but it's all kind of the same people.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty impressive. And, you know, like, I mean, obviously it helped to have your dad with Quick, but, you know, that was like a solid, you know, company to have supporting you guys and stuff like that. And I mean, not to pry, but around this time, you know, I mean, Nat's probably like 5 or 6 years older than you, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. It's
But
32 or 33 maybe.
yeah, he
somewhere
was
in there.
getting like starting to get paid like good money when he was like 13.
That's when I think I was getting paid the most, is when I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah,
Because
and
that's
like,
just like when shit was booming, you know, like there's a lot of money going around.
and you even had like you were sponsored by like Totino's Pizza Rolls or something, or like a pizza chain or something like that.
What was
A
that?
restaurant, I thought. Like you, Slater.
Oh no, I was never on that. But what did happen with that is there was like this big online battle to get a spot on the team. And I remember it kind of went viral between me and this one kid, and we were like battling for the spot.
Oh,
So maybe
you
that's what
weren't
you
on
remember.
that. Okay,
But
yeah.
yes, I know what you're talking about. It's called like I want to call it Dharma's, but Dharma's is right here. Something like that.
Yeah, but that's crazy too. Like I think Cole Pinto rode for that company and stuff,
Yeah.
and like, you know, just to have all this like attention and spotlight, and it's all the opportunities is pretty sweet. And
Yeah, definitely.
what was that like? You know, getting. I mean, I think when I was 13, I was getting paid $5 store credit to rinse piss out of wetsuits at Freeline.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you like, you know, what do you do with money like that?
Oh, I didn't
when you're a
even
kid?
think about it. I mean, it's probably just my mom's doing it all, and I just wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're probably going somewhere, you know.
I think it was just going into a savings or whatever.
Yeah.
Like going towards my surf trips or whatever it was, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't responsible enough to be even thinking about it. All I wanted to do was go and surf.
Buy a bunch of guns.
I'm still like that.
Yeah.
I got to get better.
Totally. Well, you know, it's like sometimes the people with like the most money are the most kind of like upset with life.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, huh?
Yeah. So, you know, finding a life you can live where it's like the last thing on your mind is probably pretty cool. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's a world that's kind of hard. No one lives in that world like fully.
Right.
So you kind of have to deal with that and stuff. But, okay. And then, so yeah, talk about, you know, how it was growing up. Like you mentioned some of your good pals down there, you know, what was it like growing up down there, and how would you kind of like compare and contrast it with like you know, 14-year-old's life living in Santa Cruz?
Honestly, I'd consider, I mean, other than, the amount of talented surfers and like we just talked about with the industry and things on there, it's pretty similar. Like, I mean, I was riding my bike to go surf every day. I mean, the waves are worse, but yeah, just same kind of thing, honestly. Like getting on the bike, go meet up with your friends, whatever, go screw around, do whatever you want, and just surf and have a sick time. And I feel like that's pretty similar to here.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit different of like the heaviness around things. Like up here, like it's pretty gnarly. You got to respect your elders, you know, you got to do all that stuff. So that's maybe a little bit more loose down there, but yeah, other than that, I feel like it's fairly similar.
Cool. And you know, having a dad who's like basically, you know, like a bona fide surf star growing up, like how was that experience? And like was it just always like dad, or was there a point in your life where you kind of like realized you're like, whoa, this guy's like kind of a big deal?
I mean, I think I've known forever like who he was within the surf industry, but it's funny, like a lot of people ask me like, oh, do you feel like you have big shoes to fill or like anything like that? And I've never felt that way ever. He's never put pressure on me. Like he wouldn't even care if I wasn't going to be a surfer. He's just always wanted to be a dad to me. So that's what I really admire about him a lot. I love that. But yeah, no, and it's also rad because I have one of the best teachers in the world, and he's always done it in a way with like love and like just giving me the guidance, but never like pushing me in any kind of way. So that's what I think's kept me in this for so long and kept me so stoked to keep doing it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, like he's got so much knowledge. And he went through the same thing, competing as an amateur and then going, not super heavy, but, he did his grinding on the QS and stuff like
Got
that.
one cold water win.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's just a lot of wisdom to draw upon, and I'm sure that was really beneficial for you growing up, and especially beneficial for when you started to make that decision to start surfing Mavs.
Yeah.
How old were you for your first sesh out there?
I want to say I could almost remember the date. It was like February 13th, 2016. So I would have been either 16 or 17, somewhere in there. And it's crazy day. It was like all the heavy hitters are coming from Hawaii, wherever, Australia, like all of the gnarliest big wave surfers. And at the time, it's probably still one of the top 5 days. But my dad was like, this is the best I've ever seen it out there. It was this day that it was just like light offshore all day, 25 foot, like just capping on that outer bowl and just like insane. And I remember just sitting in the channel, just like soaking it all in, just being just absolutely baffled on the whole scenario. And then pretty much ever since then, I was like, I don't want to miss a day out here. I just want to go out there. Like, and I've always had the mindset too. I've never really been like, oh, I want to go out there and get the biggest, heaviest wave. Like, I'm always just like, I just want to be there literally just to watch it, because it's like better than any TV show or anything you'll ever watch, just sitting out there and feeling the energy that it creates there, and just all of this gnarly power just focus into one spot. It's just like amazing to watch. And like, that's mainly like why I'm there. And then, yeah, go get a couple waves too.
Definitely. And like, speaking of observation, I know that was your first session, but you must have had some time spent on that boat, watching some sessions, or is that
not
true?
that much. We only took it out there a couple times, but I did get out there when they did the 2010 Mavs contest, and that was a really big year when it was also doing that outer reef thing. It was probably one of the only times where they actually got it where it was that big, and that was pretty rad to watch. I forget who won. I think like Chris Burdish or something, but I just remember coming in that day. It was super hectic because it got real low tide in the afternoon, and it was so big that the channel there, even the boat channel will close out. And I remember my grandpa just stressing. He's like, we got to get out of here, boys. Let's get in. But that was super cool to watch too, for sure.
Yeah. And
we still have that boat too.
Sick. That's dope. And where was some of the places that you surfed before Mavericks that kind of trained you or gave you some experience to make that happen?
Yeah. I've been going to Hawaii since I was a little kid too. Like, I don't think literally since I was a baby, I was going every single year, I think. I don't know if I really even missed a year. Now in my later ages, I've missed a couple years here and there, but I'd say definitely Sunset Beach was like the first place that I was like starting to get some big waves, get some gnarly hold downs and stuff. And then what really kind of helped train me for Mavericks was definitely Middle Peak. Surfing out there and just learning how to ride a big board and learning the different, or you got to stand on it and what it feels like, how to take a steep drop on a big board. So surfing out there is like, that's probably the best little place to do it, because it's not the gnarliest wave in the world, but it's a big wave and you could ride a big board and just kind of learn the feeling for that. So yeah, Middle Peak is the zone for sure.
Rad. And what was one of your first like really bad wipeouts up there at Mavs?
I've honestly never had a really bad one.
Wow.
Like, I play the like, if I'm going on a wave, I'm going to make this wave. I'm not really like going to try and take any crazy risks. I mean, I've fallen tons and tons of times out there, but I've never put myself in a spot where like, there's not one wipeout that I think of where I'm like, that was heavy. Like, honestly, the worst wipeout I had was at Sunset, actually taking a wave on the head at Sunset. I had this big West Bowl teepee just break on my head, and my leash blew off my leg. And I remember my dad used to always say, when you're in Hawaii, you got to open your eyes because you could see all the turbulence and stuff, whatnot, like coming down. And I remember just getting sent down to the bottom, and then I'm like, oh, I got to open my eyes and like trying to like find my way up. And I remember just going, and I like started getting the, and then the next whitewash came over. So the 2-wave hold down, and I was just like, no. And then ended up like, it took me like, felt like what, it was like 20 strokes to like finally get up to the top. And that's like honestly the worst one that I can remember. But yeah, at Mavs, I've never had something like super serious because I try and play that game of like, I want to make it home at the end of the day. I want my body to be good. And it's not like a huge thing for me in my heart to like feel like I have to get the best or gnarliest wave. Like I was saying earlier, it's just like, I just want to be there and experience like what's happening on that day, you know?
Yeah. Making that calculated risk.
Yeah. That's what it is. Calculated risk.
Yeah, there's something about sunset. Like I had gotten so fucking whomped out there, so rocked, and
then it sucks when you break your leash too, because then your board gets sucked into the channel, and then if you have to go back over there, it's a mission.
I was gonna say that too. Is like my leash broke. I got fucking hammered on this wave, and then like you can't swim straight in either.
You gotta jam straight to the point, or else you're gonna get sucked into that rip, and then you're screwed.
So like like you were saying. Sunset, going to Hawaii is a great way for guys here to kind of like get your laps in big surf, start to get more comfortable. And like I swear every time I went to Hawaii as a kid, like I would come back here and the bigger days just felt like a little bit less intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much energy that's coming from just like the middle of the ocean, right? So the power of the waves there is just really intense.
And so talking about Mavs, what was the biggest day? Obviously, probably that day a couple of years ago.
Yeah. What was that? Was that that's probably almost 2 years. Or no, was that last year? I don't know. The day that Aloe got his big wave, that was the biggest that I've ever seen. You'd ask anyone that was the biggest day ever. Kind of hectic, little south wind, all chunky and gnarly, but it was just absolutely mind-blowing, the waves that you're seeing that day. Just like looking back on it, it feels like a dream. It doesn't feel like it was real. Just like, and none of the videos and photos really do it justice. Like when you're actually there on the ground and like being able to see what like is happening is just like, it's like a higher power, just absolutely insane. Like I remember we were sitting even with the green can out there, which is, I don't even know how many football fields past where the normal bowl is. And that's kind of where we'd be lining up to start whipping into waves. And this one wave literally broke a mile outside of us, and it was just a whitewash in the middle of the ocean that just broke. It like must have been 100-foot wave. And then we like went over to the left side of the channel to get around it, and it was just this mowing white water just in the middle of nowhere. Like waves are just breaking in the craziest places, and when they would hit the bowl and apex on the bowl is just so much energy. And seeing some wipeouts that happened that day, you're like, dude, you're not gonna survive that. But guys are just kind of popping up, and that's what's nice is that we have all the safety equipment nowadays that really helps us a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm blown away that more people don't die surfing.
Yeah, I wonder how many lives the pole vests have actually like saved. Like it must have. I mean, like there's nobody. I don't think anyone's died since we've had that equipment. Like as at least people that have like had it on, you know.
Yeah, well, it's my first. I never used a pole vest. I surfed Mavs like 5 times, but when I got my really bad wipeout there, like. If I would have had a pole vest, it would have made the biggest difference. You know, I wouldn't have came up like thinking I'm gonna be dead in like 3 seconds. Right, you know, and so yeah, you haven't lived in a world without that stuff. Right?
Yeah, I've literally since my first session, I've always had one on. So I try to never use it. Like I honestly haven't really used it like in a situation where I need it. I train myself to not want to use it in case. I mean, the worst thing you could do is get reliant on that. And then have it not work, and then you're like, oh, fuck, and that'll put you in an even worse mindset when you're 40 feet underwater and getting absolutely smoked in the darkness of Mavs, you know, like, so yeah, that's kind of the interesting balance of it is, yes, it's amazing, it keeps a lot of people safe, but then at the same time, it probably brings a lot of people into the lineup that shouldn't be out there because they're like, oh, I have this thing, I'm just going to send it, and then that ends up making the lineup more dangerous in itself. Like, it gets really crowded out there, Mavs, now.
Yeah, that's a huge concern for me when I know my friends are going up there and like guys like you, it's like, yeah, no worries, you know, but there's all these other guys who are, you know, they mean well. I mean, everyone should have the opportunity and the right to do what they want to do and put their body on the line, but like it used to be such a different thing where it was such like a rite of passage to like get up there. You had to have the skill. You were going to get told what's up if you didn't. And, you know, just like with everything in surfing, it's like now it's like people aren't really like regulating as much. And
it happens everywhere, even at Surf Peak. It's all over.
So yeah, there's a lot more surfers. There's a lot more availability with having the equipment that's needed out there and stuff and like that. And I just think that, yeah, it's kind of a sketchy thing, but you know, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, people can go for it.
I mean, you can make it old school and tell them to beat it.
You can, you know, as long as you're not like threatening someone's life or something like that. But
I mean, I think it's more of like a guiding someone in the right way. Say, hey, look, this is how it goes. You need to start surfing like middle peak, learning how to ride the big board, learning how to use all your equipment, and kind of just teaching people the right way, and say you gotta step by step before you're all of a sudden. It's like, are you gonna go climb Mount Everest before doing nothing? That's basically what it is if you're just like a normal surfer at Pleasure Point and then thinking you're gonna go paddle out to Mavericks and go on a bomb. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And people, you know, are usually for the most part pretty receptive to that kind of like positive encouragement, you know, instead of just coming out guns blazing and just like, you know, ripping their head off or something like that. So anyways, it's just kind of the modern world that we live in. And it feels like, I don't know, like with the surf industry kind of like crumpling, at least like the magazines and stuff like that, there's not as many like international guys coming to Mavs like every swell. I know that it happens, but is that something that you've noticed, how maybe like guys are just maybe sticking around their own zones a little bit more?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe there's definitely the certain days that you can tell from like a week in advance that it's going to be a big, really clean day. And I feel like those are the days that a lot of international people kind of show up. And then, yeah, there's tons and tons of days throughout the year when it's just a bunch of locals and random people from around that are kind of showing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what the reasoning into it. I don't understand the whole surf industry thing. Baffles me because there's way more surfers than ever. And I'm like, where's all the money from? Like, people are buying surf stuff everywhere. Where's all the money gone? Where's the industry gone?
I brought this up so many times on this podcast where I have the same questions. This is just kind of my hunch based on, you know, some information that I've gathered. But, you know, the surf companies used to be owned by like surfers and hardcore surfers, and they're putting all this money into like the culture because it was cool.
Yeah.
And it was a rad thing to be like a part of and stuff. And when all these guys kind of like left and sold off their parts in these big companies, a lot of like investment groups and stuff came in where it was like a disconnect from the culture, where the guys are at the top maybe being able to make these decisions about how to throw the money around. Maybe they never even touched a surfboard.
Right.
So they're not exactly.
And then they're probably taking all that money that I was talking about. They're up top and they're like, we're taking this dough. And then I'm like, these guys don't need that.
Guaranteed. And that's why like the, you know, young surfers like yourself are having such a hard time finding sponsorship and people who will support them in their mission, because like if you think about it intellectually and like financially, it's like it's a big risk to like, you know, fund somebody's QS campaign or like send them on all these strike missions to go hopefully get a shot. And in the magazines, like the magazines used to be out, and it was like, especially if you're going on like a trip with the magazine, you knew for a fact that like you're gonna get a shot in the magazine. So it's like the sponsors be like, okay, well that makes sense. And but like other than that, like how many pro surfers did we used to have in Santa Cruz? Like
it's ridiculous. Like it's insane. Like all you had to do is go pull into a closeout and have Nelly in there, and then he sends it to the mag, and you're just like getting a nice chunk of dough.
Dude, for sure.
So like everyone has to create their own. Nowadays, it's like the whole social media thing. You got to create it for yourself. And that's hard for me because I'm not a big social media guy. I don't even like doing it, but it's something that you kind of have to do at this day and age, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, you could do it, like, I think with class. You could do it in a way that maybe highlights something about you that's like rad that people might be interested in seeing. But it can be definitely overdone, and it's pretty cringe, you know, to see these guys who I'm like, oh, this guy's like one of the gnarliest surfers on earth, but they're just like posting like cringe stuff on social media. So I think we're all exposed to that, and regardless of whether or not you're like a top surfer or something like that, you know, there's average people who are doing cringe stuff on social media. So it's kind of weird. It's baffling to me. And it's also like addicting too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like to just grab my phone and be looking at it so much throughout the day. And
Oh, it pisses me off so much, but I do it all day long. You'll do the thing where you're like, is it in here? Is it here? You ever have it when your phone's not even in your pocket and then you feel a vibration?
yeah, it's like the phantom
Like,
phone.
dude,
Yeah,
so
it's
bad.
lame. And I think there was some like metric, like the iPhone told me like how many pickups. It like told me how many times I picked my
Oh
phone up.
no,
And
I
it
don't
was
even
like
want to know
60
that.
times in one day. And I was just like, dude, I am like, this is so burnt. I need
Yeah,
to like really change my
yeah.
relationship with that. But
Something I've been practicing is in the morning when I would wake up and I'd look at my phone. So something I sleep with my phone on airplane mode, and then I'm like, okay, I have to get up, drink a big glass of water, make myself my coffee, and do all that before I can even look at my phone, just to like give yourself that time in the morning to like not do it. And that's been kind of a nice routine that I've been trying to do.
yeah, that's really smart. And, especially, you're a young dude and it's like, who knows what's going to happen in the next decade with all this stuff. They might come up with something else that just like totally tries to like capture your attention and keep you from like being like in the present moment,
Yeah.
like right now.
I just wish it would yeah, this is actually really nice. You never get to like have a one-on-one conversation with people nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about doing this podcast. It's
Yeah.
just like a lot of the times it's a good friend. We just kind of like throw the headphones on, press play, and after a certain amount of time, it's just like the last thing on my mind is that I'm even on a podcast.
Right.
And actually able to connect with someone like a real
Yeah.
cool and genuine way. So yeah, it's pretty neat. And you had kind of mentioned it, talking about the pull vest and about where your mind can go when you're, deep down underwater at Mavericks and stuff like that. And it kind of ties into this discussion talking about phones and attention and the power of the mind. And, it's such a crazy thing. Number one, surfing Mavs, and then number two, like competitive surfing, where it's like you need to have your mind really like sometimes completely free of worry, but then also like the ability to kind of hone in and like know what to concern yourself with in that moment. And what does like mental health look like to you in your job and your life?
Yeah, I try and do a lot of meditation. I feel like that helps me a lot. And then something about when I feel like I'm doing my best is when I'm able to get into like the flow state and just really using my instinct. I don't know, I haven't really dialed into like what I can do to bring myself into that. So sometimes I'll be surfing a heat and then I'll see myself getting into my head. I'm like, okay, just like shut that off and rely on your instincts, because I do a lot of training outside of actually when you're in the heat, pretend like doing whatever it is, mock heats and doing all these things that like by the time you're in the heat, your work should already be done. So you should just be able to like flow into that instinct. And that's when I feel like I'm doing my best, is when I'm like, okay, I'm just not even really thinking right now. I'm just like doing what's happening in front of me and not thinking ahead or thinking behind. And I also have the same experience surfing Mavericks too. Like you'll click into this gear and you're just not really thinking, and you feel really comfortable and you're like, I'm just going and I'm getting sick waves, I'm airdropping, I'm making it. And then there's other days at Mavs where I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling good right now. And I'd like make sure on those days, like I'm going to listen to myself and I'm not going to like push it, like you'll be out there and it won't even be a big day. It'll be 12, 15 foot. And you're like, I'm just not feeling good today. And I won't push myself on those days. I just try really hard to listen to my gut and my instincts. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And one thing, as a yoga teacher, I'm constantly kind of bringing people into the present moment and reminding them to kind of like, there's a few different ways. You can feel into your body, like a sensation. If you're in the water, you can feel like the temperature of the water, how it feels on your skin. You could just be somewhere in your body, just be like, okay, I'm going to feel into my neck. Like, how does that feel right now? And then go to your thoughts. Like, what am I thinking about? Like, where's my mind at right now? And like, if it's overactive, you can just be like, okay, I'm going to bring myself back in the present moment by feeling into my body,
right,
and tuning into my breath.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Is definitely the breath. Like I'll find myself doing that in heats, where if I'm trying like having a shocker and getting kind of spun out, and I was like, okay, let's just sit here and take 3 nice breaths and just not think about anything else, and that'll just kind of click you into a reset, right, and put you back into that flow state or that state of like presence.
Yeah, and like the present moment, that's what we're all trying to get back into, to get into that flow state. And what is it that you're always doing in any given moment? Breathing.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just an invitation to return back into that present moment anytime. And so yeah, that's going to be really beneficial for a competitive surfer. So talking about competitive surfing, you had this like stellar amateur career, and then talk to me about the transition, because I know that you've had some like wins and stuff, and
Yeah.
you've had a lot of close calls getting onto the Challenger series. But like, how did it start, the QS, for you? That decision to make that be like where you wanted to go with your surfing first and foremost, and then like how was that adjustment going from, you know, your kind of small pond in Southern California into this big like kind of wild world?
Yeah, dude, it's been a journey, honestly. Like, so basically what happened is I won that under 18 US championships, and that was kind of like, I was like, okay, and now it's time to step myself into the big leagues and start doing more QSs and traveling and doing all that. And it was tough at first, man. Like, I was having a sick time. I mean, I'm going with my buddies. My parents are super cool. They're just like, you know, go out and do it and figure it out. And I feel like that's like a lot of my like schooling. That's where I didn't really go to school, but that's what was my learning, was figuring out how to get to Australia and figuring out a ride. Like, how are we going to get a car? Where's this place at? Like, oh, you got to book a hotel here. But yeah, it was tough at first. It was really hard because you're all of a sudden you're doing your amateur thing, and then you're coming up against every international surfer in the world, and people are a lot bigger than you. You're surfing against adults, and you're getting smoked, and you're going and traveling to Europe or wherever, and you're losing first heat, and it's pretty tough. But a lot of good times throughout it. And yeah, now kind of getting later into my career, I found myself a couple wins and gotten super close to qualifying for the Challenger Series a bunch of times. I'm always like getting to that end of the year, always like right there knocking at the door, and then I just like somehow miss it by like one spot every single year. So it's tough. But I also love it at the same time. Like, it's what I've been doing since I was a kid, and yeah, it's fun. Like, competing's super fun for me, so I'm gonna do it forever, or as long as I can.
Yeah, and like this is kind of interesting, like this regional QS thing with to qualify to the Challenger. When you first started doing QSs, was that even a thing? Like,
No, yeah, it wasn't a thing for a long time. They started doing that in probably 2020. I think my first year, I mean, I did my first QS actually in like 2014 or something like that. But then my first like real years doing it like as many as I could was probably 2016 or 2017, something like that. And it was international at that point, which I thought was super fun because you can kind of pick and choose like where in the world maybe going to suit you. Like, oh, there's this barrel wave here, or this sick right hand point break over here. And you can kind of pick where like maybe waves are suited to you. And then it's cool because you get to see so much more of the world. Like, there used to be this leg where you'd go to Australia and there'd be like a string of 3 events. And then I remember there's years where like me and my buddy Nolan and Tyler, Nolan ended up actually like buying a car there. And we were there for like a month and a half, and we were driving all around Australia and surfing in contests and stuff. So that was a super sick year.
Rad. And so now they've got this like regional thing.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, there's probably like certain regions that have like way better schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the Australia region is insane.
Yeah.
They have a ton of events, and they also, the way theirs is it's grouped in with Indonesia, so they can go do the events in Indo, so they can go surf like Nias and this like mental left point and Krui. And so they have a ton of events, which gives them a lot of opportunity, and then they have super sick waves. Granted, there is a lot of really good surfers over there, but our region's tough because we don't have a ton of events, and we have a ton of good surfers. And yeah.
Yeah, you got like, okay, like, would I rather be in Pismo right now or surfing Nias?
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty crazy, but you know, it's just kind of, either way, you're gonna have to blow up.
Yeah, for sure.
You might have some days on the Challenger where there's a wave that's kind of like maybe not the best wave in the world,
right, yeah,
too.
no,
It's a small day. You got to learn how to grind.
Definitely.
Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what about, you know, you're a big dude, you know, surfing small waves. You're pretty nimble, and like, it's impressive what you're able to do on small waves. How do you practice for that? How do you train for that?
Pretty much just go down to the beaches and just force yourself to go surf bad waves. I mean, we have a lot of good waves here. Like pretty much every day of the year, you can go find a fun wave to go surf. But I'll pretty much just go down to Manresa and just grovel out the worst sandbar that I could find. That's where I did a lot of my practice. And yeah, going down south and doing things like that for sure. Just trying to paddle hard and go really fast. Go as fast as you can, which isn't easy being a big dude, but you just gotta have a really good surfboard. I feel like that's the biggest thing for me is like and a lot of my wins have came in shitty waves for whatever reason. But yeah, a good board helps a lot.
Yeah, and so you're kind of like, you got those South Side roots in you, you know, like your dad's full on South Sider, and so you're probably, you know, is it weird surfing down there? Like, I don't go out down there that often, and I'm just spooked by that dude getting smacked by the shark there.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's tons of sharks down. I've never seen a shark in my life, but I know that there's tons down there. And as a kid, like I would get weird sharky eerie vibes, but nowadays I don't even really think about it, honestly. Like I'll go surf up north by myself, which probably isn't the best idea, but now I'll just be cruising out there. I'm like, honestly, not that bad of a way to go. At least you're in the ocean, you know. And it's like, what are the odds that this is really gonna happen? But yeah, I just don't even really think about it. I'm just going out there and sitting in the ocean and cruising.
Yeah, and there's probably some kind of like energetic thing too about it.
I think there is, and there is maybe those days that like that you're like, ooh, you get that little tingle down your spine. You're like, this doesn't feel right, and that's like another thing, listening to your body and being like, okay, I think I'm just gonna go in right now.
Definitely, and you know, you mentioned good surfboards, and looks like you got a lot of good surfboards under your feet. How long have you been working with Channel Islands?
Oh man, a long time, probably over 10 years. I think it's probably 15 when I first started getting boards from them. And yeah, I've been blessed, dude. They hook it up super hard and they pump out amazing equipment. Like I've seriously never had a board that I've gotten from them where I'm like, oh, this board fucking sucks. Like I've never thought that. I mean, there's maybe been a couple that are like, not as good, but like, yeah, it's amazing how many good surfboards they pump me out. I'm super grateful for it. Yeah.
And as far as like big wave boards, Channel Islands isn't like the first person I think about, like when I'm thinking about big wave boards, but clearly they're making you and your dad some like super dope, like really trustworthy boards.
I mean, that all goes to my dad. He helped design the Mavs gun, and he's obviously ridden tons and tons of different kinds of equipment, and yeah, he put his mind to it, and he's made really good boards. And the first board that I ever had for out there was actually a board my dad shaped me. It was like a little 9.2 purple gun. I still have it. It's super rad. But yeah, he just has a lot of knowledge, and he helped pass that over to CI, and their boards are insane out there. Yeah, it's super sick. Like you basically want to be able to take a steep drop, go fast to get around the corner, and not feel like you're losing speed. Like I feel like you see a lot of guys on big waves, they kind of gauge to the bottom, and then you kind of see the wave catching up to them. Like, and when I feel like when I'm on my boards, I get to the bottom and I can get like a spring out of it and like get down the line and then like almost even like get over to the face and like do a turn or something. So yeah, the boards are insane.
And how big are your boards, like a big wave board?
I've been experimenting a little bit. My most magic board was a 9.6, but I've been getting some 9.0s, 9.2s. There's even an 8.8 that me and my dad share that I've been riding out there a little bit. Kind of been going a little bit shorter, just experimenting with different things, but I feel like 9.6 is a pretty good sweet spot that you can like kind of ride on any day.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like it's gone through phases of like guys are like, oh, do we need like an 11-foot board? But yeah, now things are trending back down shorter. Like a lot of the guys at Jaws and stuff, they're riding like 8.8, 9.0, 9.2s out there and stuff. So yeah.
I think it's just trying to maximize performance, you know, and to knife a drop. And like your dad got that fucking nuts tube out there. Were you out there on that day?
Yeah.
Were you able to see it or?
Yeah, it was mind blowing. That's another day that feels like a dream. It was like weird because that year was like 2020, 2021 season, and that we surfed it literally, like it felt like we surfed it every day in the winter. Like every single day we were driving up there. It was just nonstop. And I think it was kind of in between two swells that day. There's like a really big day earlier in the week, and then the next couple days there's supposed to be a huge day. And yeah, it was just kind of an in-between swell. There was nobody really out, maybe 5 or 10 guys, which is pretty rare. And yeah, the swell was like kind of picking up, and I think he maybe saw like one wave kind of cap on that outer part, and I was just kind of cruising, like not really tripping. I'd been surfing it so much. I was just kind of chilling in the channel on the ski, and he jumps out, paddles out there, and then he knows his little zone on that outer reef, and he just kind of like sat out there. We just didn't really think much of it. It was like, oh, you kind of like sitting out there. And then that wave came, And it was kind of a different one because it didn't like fully break out there, but it just capped enough to where he was able to catch it. And then I saw how deep he was on the bowl, and I got scared. I was like, oh fuck, he's so screwed because he's not gonna like actually knife this thing right now and like get into the barrel. I thought he was just gonna like go straight and just get blown into oblivion. And he kind of like drops in, and then I see him like kind of like start bottom turning, like arching, and I was like, oh god. And then he kind of came over this like slab crest just in time to where it wasn't too steep enough for him to like dig his nose or something. And then he got to the bottom, and then I was like, oh no, he's gonna like get the lip on the head, and then he just does this little like and then it just set his line perfectly, and then he was in the pit, and me and Jamie Mitchell were in the channel, and we're just like screaming our heads off like, oh my god. And then the crazy thing is that like 99.9% of the Mavs rights pinch, and this thing just like stayed all around and perfect, and then it just goes poof and just spits them out, and then we're just absolutely completely mind blown. It was the best wave that I've ever seen. I think a lot of people would probably say that.
Yeah.
And it was even crazier in real life. Like that's the thing about Mavs is it never does it justice. Like if you're looking at it on the footage or anything, like you got to go see it in real life to like actually see how crazy it is.
Yeah. And, you know, being a backsider out there, is that even something that enters your mind, being able to pig dog? It's just
No.
because when you get into like a pig dog shape, it's like as you're going down the face of the wave and like knifing it, it's like there's this moment where it's like if you did that, you'd have to like almost let go of the rail immediately at the bottom and stand up, because if you're just clutching that thing, you're locked in and you're gonna like maybe take a weird line, get the lip on the head.
Especially on a big board too, and it's so slabby at Mavs that you could kind of like maybe pull yourself too high or whatever and then get thrown out. But yeah, my main thing is I just want to try and get a sick left. Like I said too, is like I'm not like the guy who's trying to get the biggest, heaviest wave, but I think it'd be sick to get barreled on a left. And I've kind of got a couple. But yeah, that's my main goal. I like those days when it's like 15 foot and clean, afternoon, low tide, and I can try and get into some sick lefts. That's kind of my whole thing out there for sure.
Yeah, and that's probably where, you know, some of the experience surfing, because we mentioned it, how similar those waves are. Sewer's left.
Absolutely.
It's like, yeah, you get that right little kind of like line.
Yeah, you gotta be behind it, because if you're in the peak of it, you're not gonna get in the barrel, and then you're also probably gonna airdrop. So you got to be right behind it and kind of knife it, which takes a lot of commitment. But if you have that commitment, then it's actually kind of easy, right? Because you get the easy, nice little slow bottom turn drop, and then you can kind of shoot through it. So that's the line.
Is there anything like more sketchy about falling, getting kind of axed on a wave on the left, like as far as where you get positioned for, you know, the next waves coming? Like you could go get blown, turn into the channel a little bit, but maybe
Yeah,
backwards.
not really. Like it kind of does put you in a little bit of a precarious position, because a lot of the time all the energy is kind of pushing towards the south. And then so it positions you also where you're like deeper. So there's rocks on the inside of Mavs, obviously, and there's the big, huge sail rock is kind of right in front of where the left would be, and all the rocks in there are a bit more tight together, and there's not as many like gaps that you can kind of fit through. So it kind of would, worst case scenario is you fall on a drop on the left, and then it kind of pushes you into that sketchy zone. So yeah, it can be more precarious, but then also it kind of can be safer in a way, because the right will stretch out further, and the left's kind of like real quick and then goes into a deep channel really quick. So if you can get over there, you can kind of sneak into the channel really fast and like get out of harm's way kind of quicker. So yeah, there's pros and cons to it, I'd say.
And who are some of the guys who you enjoy not only just like surfing with, but watching out at Mavericks?
Willem for sure. Luca and Al are super gnarly out there. Jojo Roper. Hunter Morrison, he's probably like one of my favorites to watch out there. He's super good. He gets like tons of waves, and he's like really good at making waves. He's goofy foot, gets sick lefts, local from up there. But yeah, me and Willem have a really good bond. We're kind of similar people, and like, yeah, I like seeing him out there because his energy is real calm and chill. So that's like a good feeling that I like to feel out there, is like just like kind of cruising, like, you know, good energy. It's funny because like a lot of times like people will be chatting out there, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's talking, and like I'm kind of like I just want to like chill and like focus on the lineup and like try and keep my heart rate low. And yeah, that's kind of my thing. And that's like I feel like I have that with Willem. Like we can kind of like look at each other and like, yeah, this is sick, but we're not like getting too sucked into anything, you know?
Definitely. And how do you like, I think I talked to you about this in like another interview you did, but like how do you kind of when you're surfing a big wave like that in the middle of your WQS like campaign, kind of like maybe that's why you're so calculated, or another kind of aspect that leads you to be more calculated. You got a lot to lose if you're out for like a year. Like,
Yeah, I never even really think about that. Like I said, like I love surfing for surfing, and I love being at Mavs just to feel the feeling of what it's, or just look at what's happening out there. So yeah, I've never even honestly ever thought about like the risk of it like that. Like I just want to be there and take advantage of the moments that I can have. You know, I'm at like the perfect age where I can go out there and do that a lot. So yeah, that's kind of my goal.
rad. And talking about the competitive stuff too, and maybe like overthinking. I know that you've worked with some coaching in the past with Matt Myers, and it seems like a really cool thing to be involved with. You know, you got the other people in his like stable, and you guys kind of like operate as like a group and stuff like that. You know, as much as people who support you know, coaching surfing might not want to like think about this or have me talk about it, but is there any way that you could become like too invested in having somebody else like, you know, motivating you, guiding you, and all that kind of stuff?
I think everyone's kind of different. Like some people maybe do really well with like, okay, here's what you got to do, telling them step by step what they got to go out there and do in their heat. And then there's other people that are like, maybe take less information and they're better at just like going out and doing it off their instinct, like I was talking about earlier. So I think everyone's kind of different. Myers is all super amazing because he does a lot of that work prior to the event, doing a ton of heat drills and just like going through all different kind of scenarios that could happen within a heat. And then that's, like I said from earlier, is doing that work prior. So when you go out into the heat, you know every single situation that could possibly happen. And so you can just kind of drop into the flow of it and then just start doing it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does make sense to me. And is now that Myers is kind of got his hands full with the WSL the main tour, are you going to work with a coach again this coming year for the regional?
Kind of more doing it on my own for sure. Like yeah, I've been through all the scenarios, so I feel like I have a ton of knowledge. And yeah, my thing is just kind of go out there and just like let it all happen, let it all unfold. Starting to step into a little bit of that other role myself. Like I'm starting to coach Little Max St. Dennis right now, so he's gonna come on the tour with me this year, do a couple events and stuff. So I'll be passing on a little bit of guidance to him. So that'd be cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Max is really impressing me lately. You know, he
feels like a mini me too. He's all tall and lengthy, and I see a lot of myself in him. So I was like, this kid's sick.
Definitely, you know, and he's cool too. He's got a little cool little sense of humor, and he's just
he's respectful. He paddles out. He says hi to you. Says hi to everyone in the lineup, and that's really important. I love that.
It goes a long way. You know, one other little goofy foot Grom who I've just been impressed with. You know, I don't know how like tapped in he is into like really being like a full-time pro surfer, but Julian.
Yeah, I saw him out at Mavs actually too. He was surfing out there.
And he's just like, every time I see him, he's like, how are you doing? You know, and like, I'm just like, I'm really refreshed by that kind of like that attitude, you know, because there's other like young hot surfers who are kind of like got stinky attitudes, you know, and
they just don't even want to look at you.
That's not going to last, you know, or serve them, you know, going forward. But what kind of stuff are you and Max like working on? Mock heats?
No, we've actually literally just kind of started doing this. But my main thing for him right now at the point that he's at, like, I just want him to be a better surfer. So we're kind of doing like a little bit of technique things and just, trying to improve his surfing right now. Because he's still young, and like, you're going to learn a lot through surfing heats and stuff on the QS. And I feel like focusing on getting yourself as good as you can be, being a ripper surfer, and then then you can move into like doing more of like the focusing on all the heat stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. And is that something that you could see yourself kind of maybe transitioning to at some point?
Yeah, maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, definitely around here and just helping out kids around town, I could see myself doing. I don't know how much I would want to keep like going and traveling and doing the coaching thing if I'm not doing the competing at the same time, you know? I haven't really thought too deeply into it, but it's just like mostly like I want to be able to, because I've had so many experiences traveling and doing the QS and all these things, I just want to like, I feel like it's important for me to be able to pass that information on to the younger generation. Like,
for sure. Yeah. And like, Here in Santa Cruz, we're like a big family, and we roll in packs. We always have, and to be able to just bring up the next generation is always something that has been kind of like happening here. Like just getting pulled under the wing of an older surfer, kind of show you the way.
Totally.
So I think that's really cool. I didn't know that you were doing that. Where is your favorite spot to travel to compete on the regional tour?
Definitely Barbados. That's the event at the end of the year, which has also brought me a lot of hard times because that's the event that helps you qualify into the Challengers. It's the last event of the year, but I've been going there literally since I want to say maybe 13. Like they had a pro junior the first year that they ever did it. Went over there with H-Dez and a couple other guys, and then I've been back like every year since, and I've just made so many good friends over there. Like a lot of the local people, I love them a lot, and we still talk on the phone all the time and stuff. And the wave's super fun. It's kind of like somewhat, I mean, obviously it's warm, but somewhat similar to the waves we have here, powerful right-handers. And yeah, just the energy that it has there. It's got good vibes, and yeah, I love going back there.
And Soup Bowls, that wave that they have it at is like, can be like a really, really good, gnarly, heavy wave.
Yeah, insane wave. We've never, for the contest, it's never been good because they kind of have it at a weird time of year. Like you need those hurricane swells during like September, October, November. And then the event's like normally more in like March. So we haven't scored it like that. It's fun every single day. That island gets a ton of swell, and so you could always surf out there. So it's always sick. But it would be rad if one of the years it just lined up with a hurricane or something and we got to get drained in our heat. Man, that'd be sick.
Dude, that would be so sick. And, speaking of getting drained, I know that, you mentioned it was one of the places where you first started surfing, but your dad, like, has spent so much time in Puerto Escondido. And is that somewhere that is on your radar to go down in the summer to, like, try to, like, because that's like a whole different type of big wave surfing. Is that something that appeals to you much?
Yeah, more recently, the sand's been super good this summer actually, so I've been eyeing it down a bunch. I haven't made it down yet, but yeah, there's been, like, when I was talking about how I started kind of surfing down there, that whole point of my life, I was going down every year, but I was still such a little kid that I wasn't like going out the back and sending it. But yeah, like this past year, the sand's been sick, so I've definitely been wanting to go back down there. But I'd say like more I learned how to ride the barrel surfing in Hawaii because when I was on Quicksilver, they had the Quicksilver house right there at Pipe, so I literally would go over there every winter and I'd just try and surf Pipe every single day. I wouldn't leave that little stretch of beach. I'd literally just surf out front every single day.
Yeah, well, like that's an amazing place to do that. What about these days? Where do you stay when you go over to Hawaii?
Recently when I went over, this guy Craig from here has a little studio that he let me stay in, but it's tough nowadays, dude. You got to end up paying for a spot or like trying to find someone that it's not as easy as it used to be. I mean, I was obviously lucky that I had Quicksilver, so I'd be able to go over there and do it that way. But yeah, it's a little bit tougher nowadays for sure.
Mm-hmm. And like surfing somewhere like Pipe now, like, how much different is it when you first started? Because I know that it's just a lot less regulated now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I'm probably pretty similar. I don't think it's changed a ton. I mean, the helmet thing, like a lot more people are wearing helmets, so maybe it's getting a little bit more crowded, but I don't think it's changed a ton. Like, I mean, the generation before mine, it was a lot heavier and people would snap and it was sketchy. But I don't think it's really changed too much. And also my thing too was like, I'd like to surf it on those stormy days when it was big and like there'd be insane waves coming in, but also tons of hectic stormy stuff going on. So you can kind of get out there on those days and be able to actually sneak one in when there's not a ton of people out there,
Mm-hmm. And the helmet thing, that's been interesting for me to see. Like, it's smart.
Yeah,
but
I totally
agree. Is that something that you rock ever?
I have one, but I've never worn it. Maybe next time I surf Pipe, I'll try it out. I'm not against it at all. Like to each their own, whatever feels good. But I do feel like it maybe would almost kind of affect my like equilibrium in the way that like I don't know, just having something on your head feels like I would almost make like a different decision. And then that would put me in a place to where I would smack my head, you know what I mean? Whereas without a helmet, I like know what's going on and how everything's happening around me, and you have a sense of where the reef is and like how to protect yourself and things. So that's the only kind of weird skepticism I have of it, is that it might like kind of affect my performance. But I'm sure if you got used to it and you're wearing it a bunch, you'd be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and why haven't we seen any guys at Mavericks wear that?
I mean, you're not going to hit your head on the reef, but your board can definitely smack you. So I wouldn't say it's a terrible thing. There's some guys that have these, like, I do see that they have more of, it's not like a hard shell one. It's like more of almost like a rugby one. It's got pads all around. So maybe that's kind of a cool option that you can have. I think Boothman has one of them. He was wearing them at Chopes one time.
Okay.
But yeah, that's something that you can maybe try. Like, I've been wearing a hood. Like, that's something too, is like you can bust your eardrum real easy, slap in the water or something. So I feel like the hood kind of protects me from that.
Yeah.
But also same kind of thing, wearing the helmet just feels like there's something dangling on your head. And there's also a story of, I think it was maybe Stretch or something. He used to wear one when he was kiteboarding, and he claims that he broke his neck or back real bad windsurfing or kiteboarding or whatever it was. And he claims it was maybe the helmet because he had this extra weight on his head and it kind of whipped his head in a weird way.
Yeah, I guess I could see that, definitely. I'm glad that you brought up Chopo, because the contest just wrapped up yesterday, and
That was so sick.
yeah, it was really fun to watch. And the forecast was like looking a little bit spotty and dicey and stuff, but that was amazing to watch. Like, it was just so fun. Every time that the events happen, I'm glued to the TV, and then especially Chopes. But you've been lucky enough to have some pretty epic trips up or over there.
Yeah.
What's that whole experience like there?
Oh, it's so sick over there, dude. The Chopes is probably one of my favorite waves in the world. Even when it's like, it literally could be 2 foot or it can be 15 foot and it's still, there's a perfect draining left. Went over there a few times during the contest when my dad was doing the commentary. I'd go over there and check it out. I was there actually that year that Gabriel and John and Kelly, I remember that super clean big day, and it was just firing. I was actually there during that, so I was too scared to surf. But
2014 or
something like
maybe,
that, yeah,
maybe
probably
later.
maybe 2015 or something. So I was there for that and got to watch that all go down, which was just insane. That was like the best waves ever. I'd love to be able to go over there and surf that now. And then I've been over a couple more times recently. Me, Chachi, Willem, Deva. Who else was there? Some other people showed up. Oh, Boothman showed up a little bit later. And dude, it's mental. We had a super fun trip. I was over there for like 2 weeks. I think I had my birthday over there too. And we were just cruising every day, paddling out there. It's funny. It's kind of a mission. If you don't have a boat, you got to go through the whole lagoon and paddle out. And we're just doing that every single day and just surfing and having a sick time. And just crystal clear water, sick barrels, and yeah.
And what's that wave like? As far as, it's just such a weird thing how you're like up at ocean level or sea level, but like it just drops. So when you're dropping in, you're like really dropping down.
Yeah. I'd say that happens more when it gets to that second ledge. So it's like when it's like 2 to 6 foot, it's on the inside ledge. And then there's this weird little size where when it's like 6 to 8 foot, that it kind of like almost breaks in between ledges. And those days are kind of weird and tough because you could like either sit out the back and maybe get one out the back, or like sit in and get one. But then when it moves to that outer ledge and it's like 8 feet and up, that's when you'll get those ones that like, because on the outer ledge, that's where that super insanely deep drop off is. So you'll literally see it kind of suck downward and then up and over. But yeah, it takes a lot of commitment. I've never got a wave that did it like that really, but yeah, it's pretty heavy.
And the culture there too, is it pretty like, it's kind of similar vibes to like Hawaii.
Yeah, the locals hold it down. I super respect the way that they do it over there. They keep it pretty tight, the way they do the lineup. The locals get their pick of the litter, and that's all good with me. And then it's like respect's given, like, each way. Like if they notice that you're giving them respect and letting them do the thing, they'll end up calling you into a couple waves. Like that happened to me on one of my best waves that I got while I was there that time. I was just kind of letting them do their thing, and then the Matai Jole, he was kind of looking at one, and then I was too, and he knew I'd been waiting for a bit, and he was like, oh, go. And then I got literally like one of the sickest, deepest barrels that I've ever gotten. I was just like frothed up. It was crazy because I literally was so deep in it and it had this like corner on it from the outside, and it was cornering so far that way that I couldn't see out of the barrel, and I was just on the foam ball like, I was like, I guess I'm just gonna hold on to this thing and then maybe it'll squeeze me out. And the way the foam ball is there, it's kind of cool. It wants to like push you out. So it's almost like a good thing you're on the foam ball, and then the thing just like kind of rocketed me out of this thing. I was just baffled. Whoa, I can't believe I made it.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And yeah, you had like a crew of guys from here too with you.
Yeah, it's cool.
So that's great vibes. It's pretty expensive though, right? That trip, it can cost quite a bit of money.
Honestly, the flight's not too bad. There's a straight one from SFO nowadays. Like sometimes you can get it for like $600-800.
Oh wow.
Not terrible. And the stays can get a little expensive, but we split it between like the 5 of us, and we just got like a little 2-bedroom. There's like people were sleeping on the couch, on the floor, or whatever, and kind of did it that way. So we did pretty well with the way that, trying to keep it as cheap as we could.
Yeah. Are there any other waves just kind of on your bucket list where you feel like you could really, put your talents to use?
Yeah. I'd say probably Cloudbreak would be at the top of my list. I went there when I was a kid, but I was only like 12 or 13. So I wasn't super like committed to surfing when it was heavy, but I think if I could go back there now, that I'd have a really good time, because you could rip it really hard and then also get insane barrels. So I think that'd probably be at the top of my list. Yeah, it's kind of the only place I can think of right now. I want to go there.
And to like score Cloudbreak big, you might have to bring like a bunch of boards.
Yeah,
Have you ever traveled? Like, obviously, like Hawaii, you can bring really big boards too, but like it might be kind of a nightmare, like trying to
it's
load
probably,
that
probably a
many
nightmare. Yeah,
boards.
I've never really traveled anywhere with guns yet. Like I would love to go to like Punta Lobos down in Chile or something with big boards. That'd be sick. But yeah, I haven't done too much traveling with the big boards, but I think you can just like maybe try and shove two 9.6s or whatever into one of those longboard bags and just hope that the airline's cool with you.
Yeah.
That's like the sketchy part about it, is you like don't know, maybe they're just like not even gonna let you bring this huge bag onto the plane, you know.
I like to ask, some of my well-traveled guests their gnarliest or most hectic travel story, either in an airplane or with their boards or whatever.
Good question. I mean, there's been tons of experiences of just like having too heavy of a board bag or something, and they're trying to charge you out the wazoo, and you're peeling all the wetsuits out of your board bag, shoving them in your backpack or whatever. I remember this one time we were flying from, it was weird. For some reason, we were in like Dubai or something. We were going from Portugal to like somewhere weird, like China or something. Like somehow that's how the events were working out, and we had to like stop off in Dubai and like recheck in. And my buddy Luke Gordon had like all this shit in his board bag, but then it was whatever 20 pounds too heavy, and they're like every pound's $100 or like something ridiculous, and it was gonna be like $2,000 for his boards, and he's like, what, this is dumb. And then so he just literally started throwing his wetsuits into the trash can. He's like, fuck these things, I'm over them, I don't need them anymore, we're going somewhere warm.
Wow.
Had to throw them away.
Classic.
But then I had another airplanes kind of, it's funny, when I was a kid like they wouldn't scare me, but now getting later in my life I like am more scared of them. But there's this one time me and my dad were flying over to Hawaii. I think maybe, I can't remember if my dad was on it actually, but we're flying to Hawaii, and it was super mellow. And then the pilot kind of comes on the radar, and he's all, oh, just want to let you guys know, make sure you're buckled up. The plane in front of us just went through a pretty intense jet stream, so we're going to be hitting some turbulence pretty soon here. And I was like, and then I started kind of wigging out. I was like, oh God, what's going to happen? And I was like, buckled up and like got it all tight. I'm kind of gripping onto the arms, and then like an hour passes or whatever. I'm like, is this thing ever gonna happen? And then just all of a sudden, woof, we like hit this jet stream, and it was interesting and we go up, and I'm like, oh my God. And then we just go down, and like I don't know how far we dropped it. And then it was like probably 10 or 15 seconds of like intense turbulence, up and down, up and down. And then we just get out of it, and then it's just perfectly smooth again. And I thought it was gonna like keep going, because that's how normal turbulence, you're kind of going through it for a bit. But since it was like one of those jet streams or whatever, I think we literally just passed through this thing and like had the gnarliest turbulence ever, and I was just shitting bricks.
Yeah, I think you get older, sometimes your sense of your own like mortality, like
becomes a little more real.
Yeah, and especially just like when you start doing like the equations or in your head, you're like, dude, I am like
30,000 feet above the ground. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. And so, I mean, it's just wild, like human ingenuity and our ability as a species to like go from, using, axes and stuff to like kill our food to sending people to the moon.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's pretty crazy. But
yeah, and I do it so often too that I think that kind of wigs me out too. It almost feels like my luck is like, it's adding up like to the point where like something sketchy is going to happen because I'm on a plane like every month, I'm like, when's the sketchy thing going to happen? Well, hopefully it just never does.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I think what if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, right.
You know, good thing you're a surfer. You can swim real good.
Yeah.
You know. Well, that's cool. I was just gonna talk a little bit about, because you grew up partly down south. Do you ever like miss your friends down there? I mean, there's a real formative time in your life. Like, is it weird being split like that?
Not super, because we travel on the QS together. So I see them every time we're doing an event. We always link up together and end up flying to the same place and staying at the same zone and doing it that way. So I end up seeing them a lot, and they also will come up here and surf. I'll go down there if the waves are gonna be fun. So I see them a good amount, and yeah. So no, not all.
Cool. Yeah. And also, I like to ask people this. I don't know who else I've asked, but competitive surfers, like, have you ever seen someone who was like really good and making all kinds of like waves as an amateur and getting so much attention that it like backfired, where they like stopped surfing?
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of a specific name, but that happens like it's happened a good amount. Like it's like childhood superstars where you see them and they're like, yeah, the fame kind of gets to them or whatever it is. Maybe it's something like a parent or something that's pushing them too hard, and then they kind of fade off into the distance. Like, yeah, I can't think of a name right off the top of my head, but definitely I've seen that before for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like probably a combination of things, you know, like maybe having someone who's pushing you too hard, and then also all the expectations maybe from your sponsors, and then having a really good childhood career and all the hype and all that. And then it's just like, you can't handle it anymore, you know?
Yeah, hard transition.
Right.
I think also too, like maintaining sponsorships and keeping the sponsors happy and stuff. And what was it like? I know that it was just like a big kind of like lifestyle change and probably identity change to be ride for Quicksilver your whole life, and then at some point like the rug kind of gets pulled out from underneath you and your dad, and what was that like, kind of losing that support?
I was just like kind of bummed because it felt like it was family for me, you know, like, I mean, literally, because since I was a little kid, and even like my dad was riding for them however many years before, and so like it felt like a real family thing. But also that transition within the industry was starting to happen. Like, people were starting to buy the company, and not the same people. Like, it wasn't surfer owned like how it was, like you were saying. And so that was like right as that whole transition was happening. And I remember Bob McKnight, the owner at the time, he might still be, I don't know what his deal is now, but he sent us a super cool email, and he was like, look guys, we unfortunately have to end this, but he like did it all in good heart. He's like, we're thankful for everything that you've done, and I know we're like family, but this is just the way it is right now. And whoever it was that was now above him probably made that call. And yeah, it was sad, and it was a bummer, more just because like I felt like I was bummed that my like family was kind of breaking up with me or whatever, but I didn't like read too deeply into it within like how it would affect my career, you know. I still just kind of chipped away with what I had and kept doing it. And now I found myself here where I got a new sponsor that's super rad, and they're supporting me, Dark Sport Athletics. So I was grateful for that. It's good to have somebody supporting you, because a lot of people don't have that. So I'm lucky.
Yeah, that definitely was where I was headed with this conversation. And but that time that you went without a sponsorship for so long, was that something where you were like actively like trying to put yourself out there? And like, how would that even work at that point, like in your career? Like, do you like, I'm thinking like when I was like 15 and like sending my resume to like the companies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of made like a PowerPoint. It was like, it was like, you can make like a sponsor me video or whatever, and like have your little resume thing on the sheet. But I made like a little now into the future. I made a little PowerPoint online with like all my best photos and some surf clips and like all my wins and whatnot that I've had, and sent that to a few different sponsors trying to do it that way. But the way that my new sponsor kind of came about is just like they kind of approached us. So it kind of just came up that way.
Yeah, and talk to me about that partnership. I mean, I don't know much about them. I work at a gym, and so I see like a lot of people sporting that stuff, and it seems like they're a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely within that world. So they started in bodybuilding is where they actually started from. A lot of the people who are high up in the company, they all grew up as surfers. So that was just something that they're like kind of inspired by and loved. And so, yeah, that's where they got big. That's why you see them in the gym literally everywhere. It's nuts. Like I walk in there too, and I see it. It's just everywhere. And it's funny because I'll have like some like new stuff, and I'm like this little scrawny like dude or whatever, and I walk in with my stuff, and it's like maybe something that hasn't come out yet, and people will be looking at me like, whoa, how does this guy have that? But yeah, so that's kind of where they started. And then, yeah, having the surfers that were within the brand, and they're just kind of like stoked to try and bring like a little bit more of an athletic side into it. And so, yeah, they've got some runners, they got some gnarly MMA fighters, some like boxers, surfers, skaters. So they're kind of starting to build a super rad team. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm so stoked for you and your dad to kind of have that opportunity to because they're, they're putting you in their advertisements
Yeah.
and they're really blowing it up. And like you had mentioned, how there's this like culture of these people, kids, a lot of, adults too, who are, especially in that bodybuilding scene, who are like so tapped into this lifestyle. It's like a full, like, it's not just like a brand to them. It's like
Yeah, no, it's
full
like
on.
a family. That's like a lot, like that's what a big part of their whole branding is like making people feel like they're like coming into like a family, you know what I mean? They say it's more than fabric is like one of their slogans, and never fucking give up is another one of their slogans. So they have all these things that like kind of inspire people a lot and make you feel like you're like partaking in a part of family. So I think that's like a big part of their brand for sure.
Yeah, and also there's like you mentioned the new gear they're doing. They don't do it like seasons. They just
yeah.
do these drops.
Yeah, exactly.
Explain to
I
me
think that's a
about that.
super smart way of doing business. So they actually just for their first time ever, they are in retail. They did a partnership with PacSun. So that's the first time that anyone could like walk into a store and buy product from them. And that's specifically like the dark sport athletics part of the brand. But yeah, so what they typically do is they do these drops pretty much once a month. They'll do a drop and they'll have a limited amount of gear, and then they'll kind of hype up the beginning of the month. They're hyping up this drop, saying like, oh, you guys better be on it, because that's how it is literally too, is they put out these drops and they sell like that. So there's all this hype around it. And so, yeah, they build up that hype, do the drop, and then sell them out, and then just do it again month by month. So it's a pretty good process. I think it's sick.
Cool. And is there any projects that you're going to be involved in? We're going to see Johnny Mel like signature trunk or anything
That'd
like
be
that?
sick. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'd be psyched on that.
Come on.
They got a Bruce board short that's super sick. But yeah, now as far as like they do have another drop coming at the end of this month. They haven't sent out what the name of it's gonna be yet, so I can't promote it yet. But yeah, I'd be psyched to do something like that. They're doing a big wave event. They're sponsoring a big wave event down in Los Angeles of all places.
Cool.
They have this wave down there. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because I always was brought up like it was a secret spot, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to like talk about it. But they're doing a contest there, so it's gonna happen and it's supposed to be live. But yeah, there's this zone down there that gets pretty sick on like if there's a huge Mavs day, you can go down there the next day. It's this big wedging left. And then so they're going to be sponsoring that event, and that's something that me and my dad are in. So that'll be something to look out for this winter. And then yeah, each month just scope my Instagram or something. You'll see that I'm posting up whatever drops coming.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. And so what does it look like, going forward with a brand like this? Is this something where you can like make a contract and then kind of like throughout the process of it, kind of like, is there an anticipation of having to like, vouch for yourself to get re-signed or stuff like that?
Yeah.
Are you in a pretty good position right now?
I'm in a good position. I got I think another year or something, but yeah, my deals it started off as a year, and then the deals got longer and longer as we've gone up. And I've never had to do any like renegotiating or trying to like advocate for myself. They're just stoked for me to do my thing and our family legacy of it all. So yeah, nothing like that really.
Cool.
But yeah, it's funny how it is now. Like back in the day, contracts looked a lot different. Like it'd be a lot more incentive based. Like, oh, you get first place in a whatever, you get a shot on Surfline, and then you get this much, or you do this, and like it was more incentive based, and it was more competition based and like photo based. Whereas nowadays, a lot of the contracts are just basically like strictly social media. It's like, okay, you post this many times this month or each month or whatever, and this many times on your story, la di da di da. So that contracts have evolved a lot because of that whole social media thing. It's just different now.
Yeah, and it's a smart thing for these companies because they can really like quantify. They have direct analytics numbers that show exactly how many eyeballs. Not even that, but like sometimes you could break it down to see like how long the eyeballs are staying on one like photo or whatever. And so yeah, it's a new world that we live in, but it's pretty cool. It makes sense for them.
Absolutely.
But is that something that you feel comfortable with? Like, I'm sure your stock as a pro goes up with how active you are with your social media and stuff like that. How do you have a schedule that you do, or what?
I mean, I just have my certain amount that I know that I have to post each month, and that's what I'm always going to do because that's my contract and that's what I'm going to do. But I honestly like am not a big social media guy. I never really have been. Like I look at social media a lot, but as far as like posting and like doing that, like that whole thing, I've never been super into it. It's hard for me, and it feels like it's hard to like be myself within it for whatever reason. So I'm not the best at it, but I also am super aware that if you have a big following, that it's going to help bring in whatever it is, more sponsors or whatever, you know, and it's going to help you in the long run. So it's a funny balance of like being like, okay, you got to do this, but it's also like hard because it doesn't really feel like me at the same time. So I think I'm doing that is trying to find like what feels like me within my posting, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that, you know, you're like a really relatable guy. You're approachable and like a cool dude. And so I would just suggest just to be yourself.
Yeah.
And let that shine through. And, you know, there might be some like awkward times where you're like, I don't know how I feel about this, but
Right.
it's like, you're not going to, the opportunity is going to just pass you by
Yeah.
unless you're like, you know,
Absolutely.
sticking your dick into the glory hole. You
Yeah.
know? So you gotta get psyched.
For sure.
Well, you know, I just bringing it all together here, I want to talk about just briefly, you know, your life just outside of all this other stuff. Like what makes John Mel kind of interested in life? What are you curious about, and what kind of other passions do you have?
That's a great question because I feel like people probably don't know a lot about me. I mean, definitely surfing is my life and it always will be, and that's like what my life revolves around. But I do like getting into nature, like doing camping, going backpacking, doing things like that really interests me a lot. I think it's nice to like go out and separate yourself from everything and just be in nature and feel that whole energy. That's something that I'm super interested in. Yeah.
Cool.
Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I'd like to go. I was actually at this place called Pine Mountain Lake, and it's kind of like by Yosemite. My neighbor Carl's got a sick house there, and it's got
Nice.
its own like private dock. And it was like 95 degrees up there. It's like kind of by out. It's on the way to Yosemite, but it was beautiful, and the water was super warm. And yeah, I like to get out there and kind of just get out and feel the energy and
sure.
like and
Something different to like separate yourself from the ocean too, because like I said, like our lives revolve around the ocean, right? So it's good to like go out, do something different, and then it like makes your love for what we have here even greater.
yeah. And I think, you know, the last thing that I kind of wanted to chat about was just, we talked a little bit about it, and it comes up a lot for you in your life, is just the family and the legacy. You know, your old man, his dad got Freeline Surf Shop, you know, in 1969, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's been around a long time, and you know, it for me, being my first sponsor, and at that time it was kind of weird because it was on 41st Avenue, but because your dad was like an Aptos guy, it had this like really strong Southside imprint on it. A lot of Southside team riders and stuff like that, and that was interesting to me. But it was a place where a lot of guys like myself, is either their first sponsor or their first job. Like the list of guys who rode for him is crazy. Like Augie, Charlie Parker, Mike Golder was a team rider for a long time, Bud, and so you kind of grew up in this environment, like basically in the surf shop, and you've got your brother Anthony's kind of more or less managing it at this point. And what's it like to be in that kind of that zone? And
It's sick, dude. Yeah. It's just like a family legacy that I hope that we can carry on for as long as once I have kids, if we can keep passing that on and be amazing. But yeah, I literally grew up in there, and all the people that have come out of the place, it's insane how many people I talk to. They're like, yeah, that was my first job, or that was my first sponsor, and they're washing wetsuits just for store credit or whatever it was, you know, maybe get a couple bars of wax or whatever. And yeah, it was just cool growing up in that environment, having my grandpa as a shaper too. We've actually recently, I got myself a blank, and we're gonna get in there and do some shaping together. And yeah, it's cool. I just hope that I can carry on that legacy forever, and just like keep it within my family, because that's something that we feel like surfing needs, right? We're talking about how everyone's selling out and it's gone that way. So I feel like having that family thing is really cool. And yeah, I'm grateful that it's there. It's super rad.
And I know that it's like a tough thing right now to run a surf shop.
Definitely.
Everyone's like fretting, like stressing. It's gnarly. And is it kind of like, because in my mind there's more surfers than any time ever, it seems like there's more equipment being like purchased and stuff, but is it the fact that people are like buying it like online?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I think a lot of people are buying it online, but I also feel like there is this little surgence of people that like they want to support local businesses like that, so they make an effort to go in and like places like Freeline and try and buy some stuff. And yeah, we're pulling it off too. Like, and I think also that like the legacy, like we were talking about, of the shop brings in a lot of people too, because they know they're going to go in there and they're going to talk to somebody that knows what they're doing. They're supporting a family, supporting a local business, and they're going to get the right equipment for whatever level it is that you are. Like, you go in there and talk to my brother, he's got so much surfing knowledge, and he's going to make sure that you have the right board, the right thickness of wetsuit for wherever you're going to be, the right wax, all those kinds of things goes a really long way. And even just when people go in there and just like, they don't even buy anything, but they can go in there and get super rad information, you know. And that's something that's always been a big thing, is like hiring new people that do know, so they're able to pass on the information to like make sure that we're making our community a better place by, when people come in there, they're going to go out there with more information and be able to make the lineup the way that it should be, keeping it organized, giving respect to people, making sure you're surfing at the right spot. Like, oh, you're a beginner, okay, let's make sure you're going out to 38th, or like, oh, you got some more experience, oh, try out First Peak, or whatever it is, you know, passing on that information.
Yeah, everybody likes to be seen, right? And if you're like a complete like you know, novice, or somebody who's like doesn't have much surfing experience, and then you can like maybe Pete Mel tell you totally where to
you could literally do that. You could randomly walk in there and he'll be in the back of the store doing whatever, and you can go talk to him. Yeah, it's rad.
And he always takes the time to, you know, give him the right information. Like you said, Anthony's in there, and you kind of like to be seen and to be like taken care of, and also to be like given a bunch of information, and the person who gives you the information says, you know what, but I don't see a board here for you, but up the street,
exactly, yeah, we'll pass
your board or whatever. It's like, yeah. So,
and it all works in that way too. Like, all the businesses along that little zone, like, we're gonna pass you on to the right place. Like, exactly, like, we don't, like, I'll sometimes sell some of my used boards at Freeline or whatever, but most of the time we don't have used boards down there. But people will come in like, oh, do you guys have anything used? And we'll go, oh, no, but this guy right down here, you can go talk to Adam Rapolgo, who's a legendary surfer. He's my godfather too, by the way. And he's going to give you the best information, make sure you're on the right board, and get you the good equipment. And yeah, it goes both ways. Like, oh, you want to get it here? Oh, go up to Freeline. They got this fin or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, that's so sick. I didn't know that Rody was your godfather.
Yeah.
That's like such a sick, like,
so sick. Yeah, connection. I love it.
Rody, what a cool dude. I mean,
legend.
I had him on the podcast. Him and your dad, I just like, those are some of my two favorite local guys, because they're just so like genuine.
Definitely.
And I've never, you know, I mean, I've seen your dad grumpy a few times, you know, but it's like Adam, like, dude, he's just always so chipper.
Me. Yeah.
It's like you could like cut that guy's freaking toe off and he'd be like,
well, it's like he's gone through all those injuries kind of recently too, and he like has had times where he's like not able to get in the water, and you'd think that something like that would be able to bring your vibe down, but he's always just kept a positive mind frame forever. And he's like someone that I've looked up to obviously my whole life, since I've known him since I came out of the womb, and I've just like always been inspired by like his style, dude. I think he has the sickest style ever, dude. So bad.
Yeah, amazing style. Well, just to wrap this up, like, what's your favorite part about being a surfer from Santa Cruz?
I'd like to say just like the lessons that I was taught as a kid from looking at my elders, I think is really rad, and the way that we run our lineups here and the respect that's given around the whole lineup, and the way the totem pole works, and learning all those lessons. Like I've had really good guidances, like my dad and Adam and all the legends that we have here in this town. And I think I'm just like really grateful that I've been able to have those lessons passed to me, and then I'd love to be able to pass those down to the next generation. And yeah, I think that's the raddest part, is just like the community that we have here, and the way we do things, I think is really special. And yeah, we got sick waves, and it's a beautiful place. I'm definitely lucky to be from here, dude. Like, every time I go on a trip, like, I come back here and you smell the fresh air and you get to see the waves and see all the people around, and I'm always just like, dang, dude, this is sick. We hit the lottery, dude. We hit the lottery for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many like shitholes and shitty situations that you can be born into in this earth, and it's like
somehow we ended up here.
Yeah, dude, we're hanging 10 at the top of the world. It's just like such an amazing thing. And yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me, dude.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's always a great thing to wrap out with you, and you know, I consider you guys like kind of family to me as well. So I just appreciate the support, and yeah, I mean, I think I just wish you well, and I want to see you on that Challenger series. You know, I think you can do it, but you have the attitude to take those close calls and just, it's all part of the deal.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, competing's taught me so many lessons about like myself and that. Like when I was younger too, like I used to get so down in the dumps and like hurt and like not look at it in any kind of way and maybe try and blame it on other things. But now I'm at a point where I like look at those losses of like you can take so much learning, not only in the competition side of it, but also your life and the way that you handle things. Like when you have something hard happen is like actually when you like get the best lessons out of it. So yeah.
Yeah, they say that, well, it's known that diamonds are made under extreme pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, just keep shining and glistening, and I'll be watching it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, this has been the Split Peak Suit Podcast. I'm your host, Neil Carney, and this has been Johnny Mel, the legend. So we're going to check you guys out next time. Be sure to check out Santa Cruz Vibes magazine. Just came out a new one. I did an article about Barney, and that was pretty cool. So
I'll have to check it out.
yeah, we're part of the Santa Cruz Vibes podcast network. So, find Santa Cruz Vibes wherever they're putting out cool shit. It'll be waiting there for you. And until next time, this has been the Split Peak Suit Podcast.
Bango.